Thank you for tuning in. I'll be sharing with you about a sustainable way of doing life. We live in the world that we are living in the difficult moments. We live in the culture that in order to do some things, we have to ship from many different places. That's the case in this picture. As you can see in this picture, you see this man wearing many different things from different locations, and that's exactly what the not sustainable cultures are. And this is the perfect example because everything depends on shipping and doing this. This is not sustainable. For any reason, you have not access to get the product from any of those locations, you will not be wearing anything. That means that the culture that you live in is not sustainable. But what we need to do is learn the principles and the basic things to have life and to have enjoyment while we're living, at the same time being sustainable. This way of life, depending from everywhere for everything that we need, it is very difficult. You have to pay the high price for a lot of different things. High price for clothing, high price for food, high price for everything. That's not sustainable. So instead, we can come to live in the way that's very simple, in the way that's very everybody can have life with the basic things without paying the high cost. How to do it? Here is what you're gonna hear a little bit about how to live that kind of life. Sustainable natural cultures inspire people to restore the core principles and values of our beginnings on Earth by taking control of the planet, creating a regenerative, thriving, and abundant ecosystem, and exercising dominion over every living being that moves along the ground to foster a resilient and sustainable culture. This is the only way that we can live. In order to do that, I will be focusing on so many principles that the permaculture brings by Bill Mollison. He was an Australian man who came to realize the world that he was living in 1970s was not going in the right direction. So he decided to, some few of his friends decided to change this perspective of one crop monoculture idea and something that's not sustainable. So they don't have to depend on bringing stuff from far away at the same time that they're destroying our environment. So their perspective is more kind of giving the alternative of sustainable cultures or permanent cultures. In their perspective, the permaculture is an approach to land management and settlement design that adopts arrangements observed in flourishing natural ecosystem. It includes a set of design principles derived using the whole system thinking. It applies these principles in the fields such as regenerative agriculture, town planning, rewilding, and community resilience. Permaculture has many different branches, including ecological system designs, in engineering, in regenerative designs, environmental designs, and construction designs. It also includes integrated water resource management, sustainable architecture, and regenerative and self-maintained habitat, an agricultural system model from the natural ecosystem. It shares many practices with agroforestry and agroecology, emphasizes their social, cultural, and economical context. Permaculture originally came from the word permanent agriculture, but was later adjusted to mean permanent culture, incorporating the social aspect of it. The term was coined by Bill Mollison and David Holmgren in 1978, who formulated the concept in opposition to Western industrialized methods and in congruence with indigenous or traditional knowledge that is more sustainable, that worked for thousands of years. So, looking from that perspective, we're gonna go our current state of our world. Our food system contamination, because of the influence of this westernized perspective of growing monoculture with high chemical, with high fertilizer demand, and all of those things, and now even with so many modification of the genetics for the food, we see now the results of all of this poorly planned and poorly managed system that is collapsing if we see in the health issues. One of the things is our food system contamination. It's becoming every time more and more difficult to eat food naturally. In my own experience, I have so many problems with food. That's one of the main things that I'm focusing on sustainable way, because I cannot eat many of the products grown in this perspective, in the Western perspective, with high fertilizer and high poisonings or pests or control or whatever you can call it, all the chemicals. And not only that, also with the genetically modified and all of these things. It's making us sick. But I don't have a problem with any food if it's naturally grown in any part of the world. If it's naturally grown without infecting them with these fertilizers and chemicals and modifications genetically, if it's not human being intervened food, I'm okay with it. And many people are coming to realize that's happening. And because of that, as we can see, people facing also the other food shortages in different continents, in different places, and acute food insecurity in populations, like millions of them, they don't have food. You can see here the statistics. I'm not gonna go all the details, but as you can see, there is so much things happening in statistics that's shown, like the scarcity of food is happening in our world. So our food system is contaminated at the same time. That is a food shortage. But those some few get benefit from all of those things. There are millionaires just only in the top 1.2%. Those are the billionaires who have access to food and wealth and everything. And the rest, as you can see in the pyramid, as the rest of the people, as goes down. And I'm not going to focus in that either, but this is one of the statistics for some of you might be interested in looking it up. But also we can see how this wealth is distributed amongst the billionaires in the most poor communities. As you see there, the wealth is distributed as you see. And I don't want to focus on all of those things because it's gonna just makes us not have good feeling thinking about who are those billionaires. But our current situation is not only that, not about food scarcity and food problem. It's also about environment and pollution. In this part, we can see so many different things. The first thing that the cause of the pollution is the oil extraction, and the crude oil extraction and all its components that comes with it. And our world needs a reset because it's so much contamination, pollution, and so many things going on. And we need to take care of all of what we have in the earth. And we are like, I don't know, like a crazy trying to, because of seeing all this damage that we are causing into our planet Earth. Many people in the science are focusing even to go to other planets to do the same thing. If we don't have responsibility with our own planet that we're living in, how are we going to be responsible for other planets, even if they conquered any planet, any other planets? So it is crazy to think about we don't know how to take care of our own planet, but we're looking for conquering another planet if there is life, if there is possibility of moving on. But all of that is just doesn't make sense. So, but one thing that we can do is also pay attention what we are doing with our own planet. This is like the monoculture perspective of growing food. In this way of growing food, every food that's growing is contaminated with all those chemicals, and we are taking it in. We are eating it, all those chemicals that are not good. Do you think we are not smart enough? Because if those chemicals can kill all the bugs and all the life on Earth, how can not kill us also? And that's like kind of, I don't understand. Doesn't make sense. We are killing the animal. Actually, that could be in many years of my experience growing up with the natural way of doing it. Actually, I thought of, if there is animal bite in our food or some pest kind of eating it, and I can eat as well, as assuring that food is 100% healthy for my consumption. If none of the animals touch it, they cannot eat it. That means it's also not healthy for me. I should not even touch it. So that's the perspective that we need to look at it. But the consequences of not doing it, but us only destroying and doing this monoculture perspective and harvesting and getting it in our brains, like you can only eat bread, or you can only eat wheat, or you can only eat rice, you can only eat these things. It is insane. It's not how it's supposed to be, the life as a sustainable way. Our bodies need so many different products. We should be eating every green that's available around us, that we can adjust to eat. There are so many greens that we are even not focusing on eating it. That's one thing that we should supposed to be eating, but we are just selectively ignoring the rest of the things and following what the people are selling to us. Only eat bread, or only eat rice, or only eat this or that. And then that's what we're doing it. That's not a sustainable way. That's not a healthy way. So we need to continue exploring. Here I have, like, for example, as I was traveling to my hometown, when I was very young, probably at the age of my son there, at that age I was traveling in these areas, or in this similar to these mountain areas. It was just covered by ice, white ice, because it's very high altitude. But now because of this warming up and we contaminating our environment, now all those ice just melted away. As you can see, just some spots still there ice, but the rest just melt away. There is no more ice anymore. So what, I don't know what we're gonna end up with, but that's the reality that's happening. And this is not happening only in one place, it's happening everywhere. And the pollution fact brings so many different difficulties. The pollution is one of the biggest global killers, affecting over 100 million people. This is based on the statistics, the source that combined from different statistics. Over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 sea mammals are killed every year. That's bringing destruction into our ocean. People who live in places with high levels of air pollutant have a 20% higher risk of death from lung cancer. And the Mississippi River carries an estimated 1.5 billion metric tons of nitrogen pollution into the Gulf of Mexico each year. And this is like insane. We are polluting. Americans make up an estimate of 5% of the world's population. However, the US uses 25% of the world's resources, 25% of the coal, 26% of the oil, and 27% of the world's natural gas. That's only with 5% of the world's population. It's insane. I can't imagine, I can't understand this. Each year, 1.2 trillion gallons of untreated sewage, stormwater, and industrial waste are dumped into the US waters. Children make up 10% of the world's population. Over 40% of the global burden of disease fall on them. More than 3 million children under the age of 5 die annually from environmental factors. Is this not something? It is so much. I cannot imagine what's going on in our world. This is only from the US, in the place where there is, it seems like there is a high control in so many things. What about the places? What about the countries where there is no any regulations that's happening to regulate in a lot of different things? For example, water treatment. Many of the places are with the precarious water treatment system. In some places, they just open a place that they can put their contaminated water or contaminated waste, and that just leaks in to the water table or the water system, and the people are drinking and using from that. That's the reality that we are living in. So in many different places, because of that, we need to be conscious about focusing more in thinking, not only in our health, also in the health of the future, the health of the animals, the health of every living thing and every living being in this planet. So the contamination, like going back with the oil, is all of this. In order to create all of those wealth, it's necessary to pollute all of this and breathe this contamination. Some places more than others, but this is the contamination that we are creating in our planet, in our world, that we need to be careful. The other thing is the contamination of getting rid of everything, getting rid of every green thing that can help us to purify. When we get to the moment later on, as I will share, when we get to the moment of talking about trees and all the green vegetations and all of those things, we're going to talk about more about this. But monoculture, just planting one crop idea, that's detrimental, does not help to our society. Instead, brings just contamination, brings desertification, brings everything collapsing. As we do this way, life this way, we're gonna end up destroying our food land or food crop land, as you can see here, because this land doesn't have anything, doesn't have any roots, or there's no trees that can hold the water, hold the land. Now this can destroy, this can be destroyed everything. So because of that, we need to be careful with the things that we have been doing. And when rains, all that rain just wash away all the nutrients that's available in the top of the soil. And not only the nutrients, and also all the chemicals, all the fertilizers, and all the pesticides, and all those contaminations that we made and we put in the land. Now this is washed away and contaminating into our river system, contaminating the water table if this filters into it. So that's the life that we are choosing to live. This is one of the pictures that shows where are those contaminations being measured. As the more red is possible, that's the most contaminated place. If you live in one of these places, you need to be careful. You need to advocate for the better change in the society, of the perspective of fixing it up, the perspective of reversing that contamination that comes through different ways, like as we are talking about. One of the ways is the desertification, through cutting down all the trees in order to plant monoculture perspective, to do business. And then eventually all this rich land is going to become without any nutrient. It will become desert, as we have seen in the previous pictures. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are destroying. The global deforestation, it's also very, very difficult. The 31% of the earth is covered by forest, approximately 4.06 billion hectares. Only 18% of the world's forests are on protected land. So this is going to go down. Over 420 million hectares of forest have been lost since 1990s. This is one of the statistics that's happening. The forests are being lost. Between 1990s and 2010, an average of 15.5 billion hectares of forest were destroyed every year. Between 2010 to 2015, 12 billion hectares of forest were destroyed every year. And between 2015 to 2020, 10 million hectares of forest were destroyed every year. So those are the estimates that's being destroyed. And 2,400 trees are cut down each minute. And 25.8 billion hectares of forest were lost in 2020. Double the amount of forested land lost in 2001. So those are the research that let us know what's happening in the world. And the other thing is, because of all of these things, the rise of pests and disease and illnesses is unbelievable. Studies published between 2018 and 2019 estimated the US population for different food allergies as listed below. Notably, approximately 40% of the children with food allergies are allergic to multiple foods. And those food allergies that you can see here is shellfish, peanuts, eggs, wheat, sesame milk, tree nuts, finfish, and soy. These are one of the main big allergies for people. Like I mentioned a little bit before, I'm allergic to eggs and wheat only in the United States, because here is where the monoculture is prevalent. And less, even if they called it's organic, it's not organic, it's not healthy. But if I go outside the US in the remote areas, if I eat eggs there, I don't have any problem. If I eat flour or bread prepared from that place, I don't have problem. Same thing with fish or things like that. And I can assure you, if some of you have any of these problems here in the States or in the countries that use all this product, if you go out and produce and eat healthy food, you will not gonna have problem. That's at least one I found out in my own life, with my own experience. And I cannot eat any of dairies in the US, any wheat product in the US. I cannot eat eggs in the US unless if it's produced in very natural way, not even organic. Organic doesn't mean anything. It's just the brand to sell you more expensive product. But some few of them are really doing in a very natural way. So those are the alarming statistics. And because of all of those happening, it's creating pests and disease and drying the ground and creating a problem for the humans. And also all of this unequal situation in our society, in what's going on in our world, is bringing global issues. Many people are looking for change. Many people are looking for different way of life, and there is so much injustice, so much racism, so much different things. Everything is based on money. It's nothing else. Based on money, because money is the power. Money is something that's gonna define who they are. And because of that, there is so much going on, issues around the world. And if the money could be somehow solved in so many different ways, this would not happen. Hopefully, eventually, some of us can embrace and join this sustainable way of doing life, and in very natural way, how it was meant to be from the beginning of our existence. We will go back to depending one another and to help each other. So now in this transition part to the sustainable cultures, we're gonna restore and integrate the landscape, and how we're gonna integrate all of those things. And we're gonna try to build our complex living environment in order to live together in this earth, in this planet Earth. So we are gonna only way of live that by going to the painful or going through the difficult things that is in the front of us. So one of the things is going to be like the transition part, is to take care for Earth. That's one of the values that we need to learn, is care for Earth. Care for the living beings. That's one of the values that we need to learn. Care for the living beings, that's everything. Living beings on the earth, on the ground, on the oceans, on the lakes, waters, on the air, as the birds, and all of these things. And the other one is care for mankind, or for human beings. And because we are, each one of us have a special value. We are not just anything. We have value in the eyes of God, and we have value, and we should have value in the eyes of each other as well, and not see each other as enemy, not see each other as the better, but something as value that can learn from each other. And also we're going to learn the fair sharing. And the fair sharing part is sharing what's your experience. And in this part is where I'll be sharing the things that I learned growing up. By the way, I want to mention, I grew up in the place that we never depend on the current economical system. Our daily life and daily activity, I grew up not depending on money, on the paper money, not depending on depending on oil or all the current situation. So it is possible to live in a sustainable way, just having one piece of land that you can do everything with it for your life. So don't give up if you think you don't have money. It is possible to live without money, and I'm gonna share how to do it in the coming sessions. The transition might be a little bit difficult. The transition to the sustainable cultures might be difficult. That's why I titled this part the metamorphosis process of this becoming sustainable. This metamorphosis process of this process is going to be, we need to endure the changes. It's not going to be easy because we already destroyed our environment. We already destroyed our living place. Now, in order to make it sustainable, we need to reverse with our own behavior. That's going to be a challenging part, our own behavior. Adjusting new perspectives, adjusting new personal rules, not rules necessarily because we have to do it, but some principles, I can say, some voluntary decisions that's going to bring change into that process. And I'm going to share with you here, this is a contemporary Western agriculture perspective in the first year. This is the monoculture already. There is not much trees because the Western agriculture cut down all the trees in order to produce wheat, in order to produce soybeans, in order to produce corn, supposedly to feed the people. This is the perspective. But alongside with that comes so much destruction, so much things. As you can see, there is no even much trees, there is no even animals, because everything was poisoned. Probably the birds or the other insects that ate alongside of this place probably already dead. So there is no life. That's the culture that we live in. That's the agriculture that we adopt. But from that, to make a transition will take some challenge. And we're going to talk about it later, about how to go through those transitions. We're going to be talking about it step by step, but it must be taking it if we want to see the change. Okay, this is going to be the 4-year. As you see here, there is starting to have some trees in 4 years. And some trees that you plant start producing some things, and you combining. There is not completely monoculture anymore. There is trees happening. There's still some things, wheat and things like that, still growing as we are familiar with. But combine more things, more green things as we talk about it, because we should be eating more greens rather than meat, or rather than just bread, or rather than just rice. Meat combination. So that is the perspective of transition, in this transition of conservation farming or sustainable culture farming, is to change these things. So it can be, the change can be happening every time more and more. And the real change will be after 8 years. Permaculture, 70% cropland devoted to forage farming. In this perspective of farming, you're not going to be harvesting only wheat or only rice. You're going to be harvesting so many different varieties of food in all the season, not only in one season, because the monoculture perspective is only one season. In many places, it's almost harvesting once. In some places, maybe harvesting twice. But in this perspective, you're harvesting all the time. You're harvesting different products in different times, in different seasons. And that's sustainable. That's the way of living in a sustainable way. Not necessarily getting a lot of one product in one time and then not in the rest of the year. But here you're harvesting all the time. So that's the perspective that we're going to be learning in this sustainable way of doing agriculture. Sustainable and natural way. And as you can see, you have varieties of plants, varieties of animals, and you will incorporate varieties of so many different things. So that is what it is, the permaculture perspective. And talking about this, of course, has been done many years ago, and but the outcome is going to be almost similar. And in this bar 1, you can see the income from total products. In this bar 1, you see all the income, how much it comes. In the bar 2, the cost of producing that income in real terms. Excesses, costs over income represent subsidies. Note that any farm profit are achieved by subsidy. The dollar cost do not balance until organic farming is achieved. Farm income is achieved by reducing production cost. So the bar 2 will represent, in the first part, in the A part, the bar 2 will represent how the production is becoming. In the bar 3, the oil, or calories, as you can say, as machineries, fuels, fertilizers, biocides, starts at 10.1 against loss in conventional farming and can reach to 1 to 120 grain in conservation permaculture with firewood and fuel. The bar 4, energy produced on farm, includes fuel oil from crops, firewood, calories in food produced. Solar energy is a constant, but it contributes most of energy in conservation permaculture. That's the number 4. Number 5, the bar 5, soil loss includes humus loss and mineral nutrient loss. Those are in real concern. Bar 6, efficiency of water use and soil water storage. There is, in the traditional farm, there is none, because all the water just runs off. But in the permaculture, you will gain a lot of those. In the bar 7, pollution produced, poisoning of atmosphere, soil, and water by fuel, biocides, and fertilizers and soils are created in conservation permaculture, or water conserved and pollutant removed. So in the bar 8, genetic richness in crops and livestock. Bar 9, soil life or biomass. Bar 10, forest biomass and wild richness. 11, losts and pests. 12, employment on farm. Human design or skill replaced most of machinery. That's in the traditional farming. But in the permaculture, you use human beings, giving more jobs to people, creating more jobs and creating more food for the people. Employment on farms. That's what's happening. And 13, food quality produced. In the permaculture, it's the best. Food, non-toxic and non-chemical, but in the traditional, it's not the best quality as we have seen. Human and environment health is in the bar 14. In the traditional way, it's very damaging. In the contemporary, but if we go in the transition process, it's starting to get better. But in the permaculture, it's gonna be the best health. Bar 15, life quality as a right livelihood. Life quality is gonna be the best in the permaculture, the 15th. But life quality in the contemporary in Western agriculture is horrible. There is almost none. It's very low. It can seem that the transition from contemporary Western agriculture to permaculture can seem very difficult, but has most benefit for people and for other life forms. Farming can become energy productive, and farms can produce real income without public subsidy. In particular, if farm products are already matched to the local or regional demand. So that's one of the benefits. So that's the transition part. It's a little bit scary, but it's possible. It's going to be a little bit painful. That's why it's the metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means the process of difficult change, but at the end, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. The metamorphosis happens like with butterflies. It's a painful transition, but after the butterfly comes out, That's the beautiful process after hard transition. So if you have any questions, you can contact me. It is our time to work in this process of becoming sustainable, natural cultures. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in my next episodes or in next videos.